Tuesday, February 20th, 1923, Santa Monica, California. On January 26, 1892, nearly 30 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by President Abraham Lincoln, I was born in a tiny shotgun shack in Atlanta, Texas. My birth was a quarter of a century after the 13th Amendment was ratified. My mother, Susan Coleman, was born before all of these laws. She was born a slave. My daddy, George Coleman, was both Negro and Choctaw Indian. Neither my mother nor my father could read nor write. And while their literary skills were underdeveloped because of their circumstance, my parents were resourceful, intelligent, and resilient. Daddy built our house with his bare hands. We were all hard-working laborers. My parents believed that laziness was sloth and punishable by caning. By age 10, I picked cotton with my sisters and brothers. My tiny fingers bled from the pincers on the bowls. The old men and women who had picked all their lives had an unmistakable humpback that came from season after season of stooping, bending one's back till the bones folded. When I could, I switched jobs to washing clothes and carved out my own laundry route. It's an irony that today I am called Queen Bess or Queen Bee, for only a short time ago I was just another nameless, faceless black drone, a worker bee of the Southern economic exploitation that was and remains modern slavery, the cotton fields of Texas. Although my desires were at first undefined, from the earliest age I was convinced that much better had to exist. I craved a better life, no matter how dangerous it was for me to dream of rescue, no matter how vague the pursuit. I knew my survival depended on wishing and, more importantly, striving for greatness. During the year of my birth, Benjamin Harrison, the Civil War general who had fought for the Union, was president. And while immigrants were welcomed through a brand new castle built on Ellis Island in New York Harbor, a U.S.-born shoemaker named Homer Plessy, an octoroon with 1/8 drop of African blood, was thrown off a train because he sat in the whites-only car. At the same time, technological wonders were mushrooming. The ticker tape machine tapped out stock prices and got rid of messenger boys. Thomas Edison, a celebrated inventor with hundreds of patents, was perfecting the telegraph. Alexander Graham Bell, the telephone. Lewis Latimer, a Negro draftsman who worked for both men, was a silent but brilliant ingredient in both of their success stories. During the next 2 decades, the Wright brothers would sweep the world with their wings, and Henry Ford would make the Model T. By 1908, Ford had not only invented his automobile, making it more durable, but he had designed a production line that would turn out 10,000 autos that year. This new mass-produced automobile was not more expensive, but in fact it was cheaper. Ford's assembly line and less expensive automobiles would change how Americans moved about the country forever. To leave a trail was a provocation for me to organize my thoughts along with the dozens of newspaper clippings I had squirreled away, and to make sense of this unlikely peripatetic life that I had led. Peripatetic. Now there was a $2 word if ever I heard one. I thought Mrs. Bass was accusing me of something when she hurled that charge at me. "Bessie, you are a nomad. You have become peripatetic," she blasted. My face must have betrayed confusion as well as offense, for she quickly followed with, "You have become Aristotle's disciple." As I saw things, Mrs. Bass was an intellect. If she followed the scientific teachings of Aristotle, who taught as he wandered through ancient Athens, then I, likewise, had become a disciple of hers. Yes, I had become a journeywoman, just like her. Mrs. Bass traversed the country to speak the truth. I crisscrossed 2 continents to learn to fly. Cotton picker turned aviator, yes, I agreed. At first glance, my life defied explanation. If anyone should tell my story, Mrs. Bass was right. It should be me. After that, the pages just flowed, and so did the tears. So did the laughter. Even though our life was hard and our struggles harsh, a great deal of merriment could be found in a house full of Colemans. As I worked my way through my memories, reflecting became an integral part of my healing. I began to bleed the chapters of my life onto the blank pages of the journals that Mrs. Bass had given me. And before long, I would fill one, then another, and then another. I was going to need a lot more ink.